Hello everyone, and welcome to Melancholy Mentor, where classic literature meets the vibrant world of radio plays. I'm Fran, and I'm joined by Evan from Mystery Mythos. Together, we're your guides on this creative journey. During each episode, we'll dive into stories featured on the Melancholy Mentor channel, allowing fresh ideas to flourish, inspiring you to dream big and unlock your creative potential. Get comfy, open your mind, and embrace curiosity. Let's get started.
Hello, I'm Fran,
And I'm Evan.
and today we are bringing you The Chrysalids
The Chrysalids.
by John Wyndham. Not the Chrysalids salads, which is
No.
how I was trying to pronounce it a moment ago. Oh God, I'm so sorry. It's the Chrysalids.
Chrysalids.
Yeah, so this is a sci-fi novel, and it was first published in 1955.
Wow.
Every week we're highlighting an episode from the Melancholy Mentor channel, which is one of our YouTube channels. And the other one that we've got currently is Mystery Mythos.
Mythos.
Yeah, so Mystery Mythos usually highlights more of the sci-fi, and Melancholy Mentor is classic literature, but there is a crossover with some of the sci-fi stuff on the channel.
Yeah.
And this particular radio drama, we don't have a lot of information about, do we?
Got a little bit.
Okay.
It was dramatised by BBC Radio 4 by Jane Rogers in 2012. So this was done in 2012.
Another recent one.
Yeah, and it was actually dramatised in like two parts. But I've like both parts are all in one go, if you know what I mean, on the channel. So it actually ends up being like 1 hour and 52 minutes. So it's a pretty long one. They're just both put together. We've got 6.8k views on it, this one. So
Which is
pretty cool.
really good. We're a small channel, so both channels are relatively small, and our views are they're growing, aren't they?
Yeah,
We're a slow growing channel, so we're growing organically.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and this one is like, say, like when I'm looking at the background of what's going on the channel, every week it's getting views. So,
Yeah, it's good.
you
So
know,
it's a popular story.
yeah, yeah. And the video that we've got to go with it, that you film, because you go and do all the video, don't you? Was actually filmed at Sandbanks. So, and it's lovely. It's got like there's like a little blue boat floating on the water. So I love
It's probably the one I usually stare at when I'm down there.
Yeah, yeah, it's
There's
really nice.
Sandbanks in Dorset is
Mhm.
actually like a little peninsula. So you've got one side where they usually kind of do the windsurfing, and it's not overly a beachy side. It's a bit more kind of I don't know, you sink your boots in there if you walk
Yeah,
around. The
yeah,
other side of it is golden stretch of sandy beaches that lead all the way up beyond Bournemouth. Like you can walk the whole thing.
yeah,
It goes on for miles. So I filmed it on the side where it's not, sometimes you get windsurfers on the other side, but usually you get the water sports on this side, because it's not
yeah,
only like a beach for um sunbathing or playing on, or families. I think you get a few cocklers down there. I've seen them
yeah.
with buckets. I presume they're cockling. And that's the direction that I filmed in for this
Mhm.
one. What have I got? I've got a little bit. So the story, so we don't have a lot of information about the actual recording, the radio drama recording itself. This is quite normal for us. Sometimes we really don't have a lot of information, do we?
No.
Tongue-tied there. We don't get a lot of information about it. So this story is a nuclear apocalyptic story of genetic mutation.
Hmm.
So the main theme, or one of the main themes, is to embrace change instead of fearing it. And it's the least typical, apparently, of John Wyndham's major novels, but it actually seems really popular.
Hmm.
Because we had a few comments on this one as well, didn't we? And the comments were really encouraging as well, and that it's like the favourite story, or that people really like this story.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So a bit more about the post-apocalyptic setting. So the society in this story is rigidly controlled. The main characters possess telepathic abilities, allowing them to communicate mentally.
Mhm.
So I've read a little bit about John Wyndham being influenced by Darwinism. So
Yeah.
presumably it's true. So John Wyndham's actually deceased now. So he's an English writer, but he's actually deceased. Can't ask him directly. So I know. Wonder, like, sometimes I wonder whether these how, like, some of the more kind of 50s and 60s writers, how social media would have been embraced, or
Mm.
whether they'd kind of, because you get Stephen King, well, he's been booted off recently, hasn't he, off X.
Yeah,
But he
yeah, he's
quite often
gone.
takes to social media, doesn't he? And a lot of them kind of use social media quite prevalently. So I wonder whether he'd have actually been able to answer any of this directly. So apparently he was influenced by Darwinism, um, and he was influenced by the concepts of evolution. So the story reflects the tension between traditional beliefs and the reality of mutation and change in evolution. So
Yeah,
quite possibly that Darwinism influence does kind of show within this story. The 1950s, because this book was first published 1955, as I said, the 1950s was a change of kind of, well, a time really of significant and scientific change. And I
yeah.
think that's also why there's a lot of sci-fi stories to come out of this era.
Yeah,
Like, a lot of them were based in the 50s and early 60s. And the fears of nuclear war and genetic mutation were prevalent.
yeah, yeah.
So, which obviously influenced the narrative. The fear of nuclear war, I actually remember being at high school.
Hmm.
So I was born in 1970. I kind of came in on a lot of the sci-fi stuff they used to show on TV early Sunday mornings.
Cool.
Um, like a and especially when kind of Channel 4 came along in Britain, they added a lot of like alternative kind of TV viewings early morning. And I used to watch a lot of these. They were either early morning or very, very late at night.
Yeah,
And I used to watch a lot of them. So in by kind of the 80s, the nuclear war threat was big again. And I do remember a lot of students in high school being really, really worried about it.
yeah, yeah.
Then that worry was exacerbated by us actually, households received a leaflet through the door
Hmm.
explaining about how to survive a nuclear attack.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
actually thought that this would be useful information. It was sent out by the government.
Hmm.
And basically, it told you to take one of your doors off in your house, prop it against the wall, making like a little kind of tent behind, and to have two buckets, one for waste and one for water. And in the event of a nuclear attack, you was to go behind this door and survive, apparently.
Yeah, that's very scary. Being given that information. Well, I can imagine. Obviously, I wasn't given that information, but if I had it been, I would have been like, whoa.
And this absolutely terrified a lot
Yeah.
of young people at the time that I knew, to the point that some of them even didn't want to get out of bed or go to school. Like, it was
Mm.
terrifying.
Yeah.
And the thought of surviving a nuclear attack behind just a regular door from like in the 1970s, which were quite often just these little panel doors, like they weren't
Yeah.
even solid wood,
No.
know.
No.
It kind of brings to mind, there's this was a BBC adaptation as well, I think. There was a TV series called Threads
Oh, yeah,
in the
Fred's.
UK,
Mm.
and it actually explored the reality of a nuclear attack and
Yeah.
the aftermath of what would happen. And it was done like a drama series, so it was very realist.
Very realistic, wasn't it? That's very,
And in that, I do remember seeing where somebody was behind the door.
Yeah,
They'd put the door up
yeah,
against the wall and were trying to survive behind the door. And that's the information that we were actually given at the
yeah,
time.
yeah. So it kind of reinforces that. So anyone watching that, because I've seen threads, and
Yeah,
it,
well, let's just say the surviving it behind the door was not overly successful.
no, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm not being funny. Like, let's see it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's going slightly off topic there, bringing threads into it. Absolutely horrific. That
threads. I mean,
so good though, like a
still
really, really good
frightening
drama
now, isn't it? I
series.
mean, yeah, yeah, very well done.
Yeah, so the kind of the nuclear war threat was very, very prevalent in the 80s, in the 1980s.
Yeah, yeah,
So the fact that the whole like it was really significant in the 50s.
hmm
Plus, you've got that kind of scientific change, um, people that kind of believed in Darwinism, people that were against Darwinism, and the whole evolution process. And it's really sparked a lot of creative writing
yeah,
in
yeah.
that era.
hmm
Uh, so I think that's also what makes the Chrysalids a popular story and a successful story as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
So, and that's all we've got on this one. It's like we've said already, we do try and bring you some information about the recordings themselves, and there is a write-up on all of the YouTube episodes where we've put in the radio dramas and the kind of the introduction to them. We're not privy to a lot of the information, even on some of the more recent recordings. So if anybody's got extra information to add, any comments that they want to add, anything that they want to say about these stories, and we welcome all comments.
Yeah,
Even if it's something you didn't like it, we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to know more about that.
yeah,
'Cause it's still just fascinating to us as to, what wasn't liked about it. Because sometimes it's the audio itself, or it's the story, or it's the theme, and it's all interesting information. So we'd like to hear about that too. And go and view and listen, because we do put videos to all of our audio episodes. So
yeah,
view and listen to the episode on the Melancholy Mentor channel.
yeah. Go check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Evan. Go check it out. Hey, thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.